Hello and welcome to Teaching Math. Today we're going to solve system of equations by elimination. In this video, you're going to have 4 examples that you might encounter during your test, and stay tuned to the end. Hopefully you'll score high on your tests and do your homework with ease. So what does it mean when we're eliminating? Sometimes we need to manipulate our equations. We'll talk about that in a minute, by multiplication. And what we're doing here is we're lining up our equations and using addition or subtraction to eliminate one of the variables. Then we're going to solve for that one variable. It could be x or y. And then we're going to substitute with the solution to solve for the second variable. Here what we're looking for is the x value and y value as our solution. Let's get started with our first example. So 3x plus y equals 11. And I'm going to align the other equation right underneath. Here I have to make a decision. Am I adding or subtracting to eliminate one of the variables? So when you look at over here, you can clearly see if I subtract, I will have 2y in here. That means positive y minus negative y. 2 negatives equal positive. So I'll end up with 2y. So therefore, I need to add the equations. So let's go ahead and do that. 3x plus x will equal 4x. As you can see, how the aligning the equations one on top of each other will help me really organize the information. Y minus y equals 0. And then 11 plus 1 will equal 12. Let's go ahead and divide both sides by 4 in order to solve for x. So then x will equal 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that down. X is 3, and now we're looking for y. That means we're going to substitute x, right? X equals 3. Okay, it really doesn't matter which equation you choose. So let's go ahead and choose maybe the second one. Okay, we're going to substitute x. We know it's 3. 3 minus y equals 1. Then we're going to subtract 3. We're going to do the opposite. So our negative y equals negative 2. So negative y is not just negative y, it's negative 1 times y. Therefore, we're going to divide both sides with negative 1. And here we go. Our y equals 2. So here we found our y, and that is our solution. Our solution is 3, 2. Okay, let's go ahead and try our second example. Okay, so our second example, 2y plus 2x equals 4. And then 2y plus x equals negative 4. As you can see, again, I've aligned my equation in order to do addition or subtraction. Here again, I have to choose, do I add or subtract? So when I look at this equation, I can clearly see that I can eliminate 2y and 2y, but I can do that not by addition because it will end 2 plus 2y plus 2y will equal 4, but subtraction. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract the equations. And so that will be, I will be able to eliminate the y. So 2y minus y will equal 0. 2x minus x will equal 1x. And remember, you don't have to write the 1. And 4 minus negative 4 will be 4 plus 4, which will equal 8. Okay, we found what is our x. Our x is 8. Now we have to look for y. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going to substitute x, which will equal 8, in one of the equations. I feel like the second one is the easiest one to do. 2y plus, instead of x, I'm going to write 8, equals negative 4. And now we're going to solve by subtracting 8 from both sides. Okay, our answer will be 2y negative 12 equals negative 12. Now we're going to divide both sides by 2 to find our y. So our y will equal negative 6. Okay, so we found our y. Again, here's another type of system of equations that you might encounter, and this is where we have to look at what can we eliminate. When I look over here, I can see that both, 3x and x, I can eliminate x's if I multiply the second equation by 3, or I can eliminate the y's if I multiply the second equation by 2. And the reason I'm multiplying, because I want to make sure that both variables are the same in order for me to add or subtract. So basically I'm looking for second equation to have 4y. In order for it to have 4y, I have to multiply by 2. All right, let's go ahead and do that. This is where we're just manipulating one of the equations and multiplying every single term in here by 2. So x times 2 will equal 2x, 2y, right, times 2 will equal 4y, and that's what we were looking for in order to eliminate. And then 8 times 2 is 16. Let's go ahead and rewrite our first equation again. 3x plus 4y equals 20. Okay, now you can see that we have 4y and 4y. And our second step will be decide, are we adding or subtracting? As you can see, both are positive. So when we add, we'll end up with 8y instead of 0. So we're going to subtract in here. So I'm going to write here subtract. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. 2x minus 3x will be negative x. We're going to have 0. And then 16 minus 20 will equal negative 4. Okay, don't worry about the negatives because I can basically divide both sides by negative 1. And then x will equal 4. Okay, here I found my x, it's 4. And let's go ahead and find our y by substituting x in any of the equations. Okay, I will substitute the x in the first equation, so 3. Let's go ahead and say x equals 4, and then we're going to substitute. Basically plugging in the x. So 3 times 4 plus 4y equals 20. And let's go ahead and solve this equation. First, we're going to multiply 3 times 4 is 12. Then we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. That'll be 4y equals 8. Divide both sides by 4. And then y will equal 2. Let's go ahead and write our y. And so our solution is 4, 2. Here's our fourth example, which is seems very complicated, but it's not. Again, remember, we will have to eliminate one of the variables, and to do so, we need to kind of decide which one can we eliminate. When I look over here, 2x plus 3y and equals 12, and then 3x plus 5y equals 19. I can manipulate both of the equations. It seems like I have to manipulate both of the equations in order to eliminate one variable. I have to eliminate either x's or y's, and well, I have to think about, okay, so which one is easier for me to eliminate? When I look at x's, that would be the easiest. And next thing that I have to think about, like, what do I have to multiply both of the equations to get the least common multiple? So I'm gonna do x's, so for 2 and 3, the least common multiple is 6. And so this means that if I have to manipulate the equations in order to have 6x on both of the equations. And therefore, our first equation will be, well, what can I multiply 2 to equal 6? It's by 3. And then our second equation, what can I multiply 3 to equal 6? It will be 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So 3 times 2x will be 6x, plus 3 times 3y will be 9y, equals 3 times 12 is 36. So we're going to do the same thing again on a second equation. 2 times 3x is 6x. As you can see, I found my 6x's and I can eliminate. 2 times 5y will be 10y. And then 2 times 19 will be 38. Okay, we're ready to do our next step, which will be choosing, well, am I adding or subtracting? And remember, when you're adding, the idea is to get 0. So when I look over here, both have the same sign, and that just makes me think about that I need to subtract. Okay, we're subtracting both equations, and 6 minus 6 is 0. 9y minus 10y will equal negative y, and 36 minus 38 will be negative 2. We're going to divide both by negative 1, and so our answer will be 2. So we found our y. Let's go ahead and write that down. And now we're going to find our x by substitution. So now you may ask, do I use the original equation or do I use the one that I multiplied by 3? It really doesn't matter. I would use the original. So we're going to go ahead and substitute. Y, which equals 2. I'm going to erase this here and write my y. X, we don't know, y is 2. Okay, I'm going to choose the first one, 2x plus 3y equals 12. So instead of writing 3 times y, I'm going to say plus 3 times 2 equals 12. Okay, so that will have 2x plus 6 equals 12. Now I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And so we'll have 2x equals 6. Okay, I'm going to rewrite that over here since I ran out of space. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And then our x equals 3. Okay, now we found our x, and that is our solution. Okay, you may ask, well, what does this mean when we talk about the solution? That means those two numbers can satisfy both of the equations to be true. And this solution tells us that 3 and 2, this point is their crossing point on the graph, and it is a solution for both of the equations. That means if I plug in 3 and 2 as their y, the equation will be true. If you made it to the end, pat on your back. Thank you for watching. And if you want to learn more about how to solve system of equations by graphing or substitution, I will link both videos in the description below, or you can click one of those links you see on your screen. Please consider to subscribe and to teaching math, and stay tuned for my next video when you decide which method to choose when you're solving system of equations. Remember, learning math takes patience, practice, and perseverance. See you on the next one.